Hi, this is Carl, and this particular video is going to take the form of a psychological language game. And what I'm going to do is to give you, first of all in English, a monologue, and then translate it into Spanish for you, but making 20 deliberate errors along the way. And what I would like anybody out there who is learning Spanish to do is to try and identify these deliberate errors. But obviously, if you do find them, please don't make any comments on the video, because obviously I'm wanting to offer this particular video to as many users as possible, as I say, as many people as possible who are learning Spanish out there. And one of the main purposes of this video is to show you that our brains, particularly the brains of those of us who are learning Spanish, feel more comfortable using some words in Spanish over using other words in Spanish, either because the way in which we pronounce particular words is much easier than having to utter other words. Let's look at, for example, the Spanish word mayor, meaning old, older, oldest, great, greater, greatest, which is often confused with the similar sounding word mejor, very similar in spelling and also in pronunciation. But due to the fact that the guttural sound of the Spanish J doesn't exist in English, then our brains feel much more comfortable using the sound of the consonant Y in mayor. And another example which comes to mind is the use of the Spanish word mucho, even when we should in fact be using muy, the Spanish word for very. And perhaps, again, one of the reasons for this is that we have a much closer relationship between the words mucho and much, obviously, which also means a lot, than the sound which exists between muy and its English translation very. So what I'm going to do, as I say, is to first read out first of all the text in English, and then give it in Spanish with the 20 deliberate mistakes. So here we go. My best friend Juan is impatient, and that bothers me a lot, because you always have to do things like he wants. For example, the other day I went with him to catch the bus, but we'd missed it, and we had to wait for another. And Juan said to me, "You and I are going to be here for a quarter of an hour. Why don't we call for a taxi?" Well, the thing is, it costs a lot to go by taxi, and besides, I didn't have that much money. Finally, Juan got annoyed with me and he left me on my own. Now we're not speaking to one another, and when I call him, he doesn't answer and he switches off his mobile. I don't know the house number because I don't have it, and it's not in the telephone directory. Here we go in Spanish. Mi mayor amigo, Juan, está impaciente, y esa me molesta muy, porque siempre tienes que hacer las cosas como él quieres. Por ejemplo, el otro día fui con él a coger el autobús, pero la habíamos perdido y tuvimos que esperar para otro. Y Juan me dijo, tú y mí vamos a ser aquí cuarto de hora. ¿Por qué no llamamos por un taxi? Bueno, es que cuesta mucho ir con taxi, y además yo no tenía tanto dinero. Al final, Juan se cabreó conmigo y me dejó a solas. Ahora no nosotros hablamos, y cuando él llama, no contesta y apaga el móvil. No sé qué es el número de la casa, porque no los tengo, y no viene en el guía telefónica. So I'll leave it for there, and what I will do is I'll release the solution in due course, unless of course somebody would like to do that for me. But if we give it, let's say, a month or so for people to try and have a go at that exercise, then obviously that will probably be enough time.